Welcome back to Seriously Funny. I'm your host, Mashnoor Kabir, and I tame dolphins. This week, I'm going to try to talk for 20 minutes about God knows what. I don't really have a plan at all today. I have some lo-fi on while I'm talking. It's really just going to be a calm, chill episode where we kind of just talk and, see what happens. Maybe not the most riveting, but I need to take a moment, a week where I don't want to take a week off because I do like recording and I want to put something out. And I think a lot of people listen to podcasts, myself included, for a time filler. Sometimes maybe they don't need content per se. So here's a time filler: 20 minutes of my angelic voice, or angelic, however you want to pronounce it, going at it. So yeah, let's see what we can do. And the first thing is I want to, finish sleep off with some fun facts, talk about the sleep process that we've been through for the past 3-4 weeks. I guess, 3-4 weeks. And the first one I want to talk about is something really, really cool. We all know what dolphins are. They're these cool mammals in the ocean, and they do some pretty dope stuff. Like, dolphins will play with pufferfish and purposely get poked by the pufferfish in order to get high. Like, that's how they take drugs. It's insane. Dolphins, they're crazy. Mammals live in the ocean. They're pretty cool. And so when you think about this, again, dolphins are mammals, but they're living in the ocean, and they come for air every now and then. That's why dolphins stay closer to the surface of the ocean and why they hop out of there. And so, then you have to ask, like, if a dolphin goes to sleep, how can it go to sleep underwater if it needs air? It's not exactly a fish. It can't just breathe in water, or obviously fish don't breathe in water exactly, but you get it. Like, they can't separate it from water as effectively. And so this is how it works. And this is really, really cool. But half of, the dolphin will sleep one half of its brain at a time. There's a left side of your brain and a right side of your brain divided by a corpus callosum. And so the dolphin will actually sleep like the left side or the right side. I don't know which one they do first, but they'll sleep one side of their brain while the other side of their brain stays active and keeps them near the surface so they can, breathe and not drown. And then when one side is fully rested, they'll switch to the other side. And that's really, really cool. And so, maybe we think, why can't humans do this? And we kind of can, just a little bit. We have a LITE, light version of it. When you sleep somewhere that's unfamiliar to you, you sleep somewhere that you haven't slept before, a hotel, someone's house that you're not used to, you're not sleeping in your own bed or house, to put lightly, or to put simply, then half of your brain will kind of remain awake, and it'll work like that. However, you don't get into the deeper stages of sleep, so you don't really get full restorative sleep. And that's why sleeping somewhere that's not your own bed, you feel like, man, that's not as good as if I just slept in my own room, even if it's really comfortable. So, yeah, humans kind of have something like that, but not completely. Dolphins are winning in that department. So that's really, really cool. And another thing that is cool, and something that a lot of people might think about or talk about, is polyphasic or biphasic sleep. And so biphasic sleep is you sleep at night for about 6 hours, and then you sleep in the afternoon for about 2 hours. And that's a biphasic sleep. And that would make sense because, circadian rhythm wise, you feel sleepy at night, but you also feel sleepy in the afternoon. It's called the afternoon slump. And you do have a circadian dip in the afternoon near lunchtime. And so you would think that maybe people are supposed to sleep then. It's called a siesta, afternoon nap. And some cultures do it. Polyphasic sleep is like sleeping for 2 hours in 2-hour intervals throughout the day, or more than 2 times. So just poly means many. So, sleeping in many different phases throughout the day. So for polyphasic sleep, the research on both of these are really, really low. And if you look in history, in history, there was a fair number of people or a fair number of cultures and a fair numbers of eras in history, especially in the enlightened times, in the 1600s, where, people did this. Societies and cultures did this. They used different methods of sleep. Nowadays, we generally follow a monophasic, one-phase sleep schedule, meaning, the 7 to 9 hour block of sleep with 17 to 15 hours of wakefulness. Matthew Walker says it's possible to get your full 8 hours with the 6 hours at night and 2 hour siesta, so the biphasic sleep. I couldn't find academic evidence for this claim, but just because I couldn't find it doesn't mean he's wrong. This guy's an expert that's been doing this for God knows how many years of his life, so he's probably credible. And so, yeah. However, for polyphasic sleep, it doesn't seem like that works. Some sources say that as babies we have polyphasic sleep, and then toddlers switch to biphasic sleep, and then adults are supposed to have monophasic sleep, and then it goes back to bi or polyphasic when you're old again. But it would seem evolutionarily that humans did evolve to sleep 2 times in a 24-hour period. However, a meta-analysis with over 2,000 polyphasic participants found that the sleep deficiency inherent in polyphasic sleep leads to the deficiencies described in the effects of sleep deficiency way in the first part of the sleep crusade. And yeah, there's growing evidence that suggests that adults should not be following a polyphasic sleep schedule, but the biphasic one has some, merits possibly, because I do trust Matthew Walker. Personally, I think you should just do the 7 to 9 hours at night, but yeah. There's generally, though, there's not enough academic research on the subject to suggest that biphasic or polyphasic sleep is better than or even equivalent to the monophasic sleep that was discussed, throughout our sleep time. But yeah, however, I wouldn't suggest either of those just in exchange for the monophasic. The monophasic is what all the studies were done on. The monophasic is just, it seems like the move. And again, 10-minute nap, which we talked about in I think the second episode. Or the second part. Second episode was a long time ago. And the next miscellaneous fun fact is micro sleep. If you're sleep deprived, like very sleep deprived, your brain actually will fall asleep for just a few seconds and then you'll jolt back up. And this is the reason that sleep kills more people on the road than drugs and alcohol combined. Short sleepers, they basically don't exist. It might be possible, but you're more likely to get struck by lightning than to be a short sleeper. It's not going to happen. You're not that special, sorry. Next is you actually don't feel sleep deprived for like a while. People that are sleep deprived don't feel sleep deprived or won't mention it oftentimes. Maybe it's because of caffeine, but you have a distorted subjective experience of sleepiness when you're sleep deprived. So when you're sleep deprived, you yourself won't be able to identify that until probably, it depends on how bad the sleep pressure gets. But yeah, there's a rebound effect that happens with sleep. So if you drink a lot or smoke a lot of marijuana, your brain is deprived of REM sleep. Your brain understands that it's not having enough REM sleep, so that when you are sober and your body is cleared out of all the chemicals from these substances, you'll have a REM rebound. So you'll have extra REM. This may be the reason for bizarre and strong dreams when you're becoming sober after you quit substances. If you are chronically drinking, you may have delirium trims, which is a state of delirium where your brain is going through REM, where you're basically dreaming while you're awake. And so you're like having hallucinations while you're awake. And we already talked about the dolphins thing. But yeah, that's some fun stuff with sleep that we didn't talk about. I think, yeah, that was most of the stuff. I don't know how well I presented all of the information with sleep over the past few weeks. I feel like, especially with the glymphatic system and the Alzheimer's connection, that one might have been able to be written better or presented better. I can't recall how I did it now, but I just have a feeling I could have done it better. Maybe I should have understood it more and looked into it more. But yeah, I think it's really cool. Like, the extracellular space of your brain, or intracellular space of your brain, increases by 60%. And then your brain shrinks while you're asleep so that it can get washed correct. That's so cool. But yeah, I think that's it for sleep. Finally gone. I'll mention it probably over the course of forever because I spent so much time on it and I became so proficient at sleep. But yeah, next thing, now we're just going to get to talking. Funny, I've never been into studying philosophy. Some people have called me a philosopher, and, I know maybe a few of the works of Plato, Aristotle, etc., the big ones, the big guys, Socrates, all of those guys. But I don't actually know deep philosophy. I don't know words like epistemology or moral realism, or absurdism. I kind of know, I've heard about it, but I'm not cool enough for that, bro. Philosophy is really weird. Maybe I'll get into it, but I'm not. I don't know. I've never really been into going that hard into philosophy, which is weird because it's it's kind of my brand, Seriously Funny. Half of my thing is philosophical. I talk about life and life advice and stuff. But honestly, I don't consider that to be philosophy. Philosophy seems to be I think it literally translates to love of wisdom. And I am interested in wisdom, but a lot of the concepts in philosophy that I don't study, they're these weird esoteric concepts that don't seem completely necessary. And I say that carefully because, maybe it is in a way that I don't understand because I'm an engineer and I'm a scientist. And if it's not grounded in fact or grounded in something that I've experienced or that other people can replicate in experience, then I'm just not interested, I guess. A part of being a scientist, perhaps. But I don't know, maybe I'll get into philosophy a bit more. I listen to Philosophize This every now and then. It's a podcast, a really great podcast. You should give it a listen if you're interested in philosophy. But some philosophers are cool, for sure, but I think science, combining philosophy in scientific methods, that's really interesting, or using philosophy in order to understand or live a better life. And then I do like to scientifically explain that. For example, Stoicism, a lot of Buddhism follows Stoicism. And, you really can, I can experience Stoicism. I can understand, if I become more, quote, stoic, end quote, my life generally gets easier. And, I can truly experience that. And then other people can say the same thing. And so then there's, a data consensus of, people that practice Stoicism consistently and correctly according to what Stoicism should be, instead of just going around saying I'm a Stoic and then getting mad at everything. They experience a better or easier time in traversing life. Then that's more of the philosophy I'm into. And a lot of the things that people might consider, quote, philosophy, end quote, I don't really. I consider it life. I consider it, life and education. The things I talk about, teach on this podcast, they're not really meant to be philosophy. They really are meant to be this simple advice that's true, that I understand and that I know and that I've learned and that I've seen over the however many years I've been existing and doing my thing. But yeah, now with a few minutes left, we can talk about life and what's been going on with me, because with the sleep thing, I really haven't talked much about the things I usually intro the podcast with. Anime, I've really just been watching the Fate series. I've been watching all of it. So Fate Zero, I watched that. It was pretty good. And then I watched Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, which was incredible. If you're into action or romance, it was a great anime for both of those. That was probably one of the best romance arcs I've ever seen in my life. And I never want to rewatch an anime the moment I finish it, but I really want to rewatch that anime already. I watched all three of the Heavens Feels movies and the original Fate Stay Night. Right now I'm watching Fate Extra, Last Encore. And so it's really good. I've been I've taken many, many, many years just procrastinating on watching the Fate series, but I finally did it. I'm finally doing it, I guess. I still have a fairly long ways to go. I have the entire Grand Order series, and then Fate, Khalid, or Khalid, Ilya, I don't know how to pronounce it, but those are both kind of just funny fan service, funny, dumb animes. I don't think there's too much plot in either of them, but that's going to be fun whenever we get there. But yeah, a lot of it's on Netflix, so if you're not a weeaboo with all the anime subscriptions and you're not pirating them, a lot of the Fate series is on Netflix, so you all probably have that. Go give it a look-see. Music-wise, oh my god, man, I've been in a drought. I have not gotten any new music. Glaive, Glaive, as a new artist I've been listening to for a while now. He's really good. He dropped 2 singles. I'm waiting for an album from him. Detest Me and Slam My Head Against the Wall. The second song, yeah, it's the lyrics are pretty like depressing, but like the entire song is like so upbeat and hype. It's like this weird balance. It's pretty great. I want to slam my head against the wall till I cannot feel it at all. Like he says that, but it's in such a like positive, like happy-go-lucky, doesn't care about anything way, and it's just like this weird juxtaposition between the lyrics and the beat and the vibe of the song. It's really, really, really good. But I'm really excited for that album. I'm waiting for Ian Dior to drop an album. Black Bear just announced that his album Misery Lake will be coming out in a few weeks here, so that's extremely exciting. Next, I finally got my research opportunity, so I will hopefully be entering into battery research in my sophomore year of college, hopefully helping to create a new energy storage system for, large power grids like solar energy grids and wind power grids, large power grids. And so that's really cool and exciting. Shout out to the professor that's, allowing me to, or giving me the opportunity. I do have to read 3 chapters of a book and read a 7-page paper within the next week and a half, and I'm probably going to start that today after I upload this podcast. But we're going to go through it, do what we have. I think the textbook shouldn't be too bad. I think the paper might be a little bit bad because 37 pages is a lot of pages, and I'm not sure what it's going to talk about. And academic papers are really wordy and really they're really wordy, mostly to say. So that'll be fun. The textbook chapters are meant to help me understand the paper, so I don't know if I want to read the paper while I read the textbook or do it after, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to take notes on it too, so that because notes are superior. Oh, I've also been learning differential equations, like the math course. That's my last math course. I haven't taken the course yet in college. I'm doing that next semester, but I started studying it on Khan Academy for the past week and a half, maybe 2 weeks now. I went through the entire first order differential equations. I'm 1/3 of the way through second order, but I think I'm going to put a pause on that until I finish my research stuff. And another thing is really, so this is an idea I had while I was cleaning, but I was thinking, because I've been listening to a lot of scripted podcasts, the Bright Sessions. I listened to a few episodes of Alice Isn't Dead. The Ronstadt, I really, really like Ronstadt. The Bright Sessions is really good too. And so I've thought about writing a scripted or starting a new scripted podcast, of course, alongside this one. I'm not going to quit this one for a while, if ever. Who knows how old I'll be. But it would be a scripted podcast about one thing that I've talked about a lot, and is and some of the stories I enjoy the most, fictional stories on No Sleep on Reddit, are Hitman stories. And so I thought about how cool would it be if I wrote a podcast from about the life of a hitman and going through the hitman thing. And I don't know what the arcs would be in the story. Would there be a romance arc? Maybe there would be a child adoption sort of arc. I don't know, but I thought that would be really interesting to do maybe. However, I'm not sure how many of you are fiction writers, but writing fiction is so abysmally hard, challenging, and so tough to get right. And then for a podcast, you have to get all the sound. You might need other voices. I don't know. And so that's really something, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen in a few years. I don't know. I don't know if I have the time with college, with the research that I'm hopefully going to be going into, and just, the studying I do for this podcast and the writing I do for this podcast. And so, maybe it'll happen. Maybe I'll have to put it on the back burner, but I do think it would be really cool to have probably I'll just write it from my perspective and say that, well, maybe I was thinking I would call it the false story of Mashnoor Kabir, and I would say false story, and I'd introduce the show I say false story because I'm gonna be pleading the fifth here. So this is all a false story, but obviously the thing is that it's real, and I've actually done it, which I have not. I am not a hitman. Maybe you don't know, huh? But it's a really, really cool idea, and man, if I don't do it, I really wish someone did. That would be so awesome. But yeah, I need to work on that. I also have an opportunity. I got an email a while ago to go on this podcast platform. I don't remember the name of it, and teach something. I think if I made a few episodes on sleep, that would be good. So maybe I'll have to send them an email back because it's been a month or so, and say yeah, I'd be interested in that if I can get compensated, because I would really like to get compensated for the sleep research I've done. Actually, my sleep episodes have been doing so poorly. I generally get double-digit views on my podcast, reading some off, Honesty Willpower School, I got 20 views. Lessons from Fasting for 30 Days, I got 19. And then Corny Life Advice That Actually Works was 20, which was right before I started sleep. And then Sleep Part 0 was 13. Sleep Part 1 was 9. Sleep Part 2 was 8. Sleep Part 3 is 5. And usually by 2 weeks I get up their views, but man, I've only been single digiting every single one of these sleep episodes, which again, I'm a stoic enlightened Buddha, so I guess I'm not affected, but man, that kind of sucks like crap, man. So I would appreciate if you do share it. Maybe people just want to binge it. Now that I'm done, maybe the views will suddenly go up, who knows. But I hope that if you did listen to it, or if you're listening to this, then you do check those episodes out and share them with your homies, friends, and habibis. So, because would be much appreciated. I would love if those episodes got more attention. I think Matthew Walker wanted to spread the word of sleep, and I would love to help him do that. And so if those episodes get shared more, that would be awesome. I wish I could put the lo-fi I'm listening to into the podcast, but I feel like I'd get copyrighted, so that probably won't happen. But I've been playing lo-fi while I record for the past few weeks. It might become a normal thing now. Lastly, I wanted to talk about how I've been, but I'm again a stoic Buddha, so I don't exactly my mood, my how I've been never changes ever, no matter what's happening. I'm always the same, which is neutral. I'm not good or bad. I just am. So being busy is weird though. Having things to do is really weird. Playing Apex Legends a lot. That's been fun. Shout out to the people I play with. But yeah, mouse and keyboard is so hard. Maybe we'll talk about that next week because I've ran over the 20 minutes here. But yeah. Frick, I wanted to talk about one more thing, and I completely forgot it. Yeah, completely slipped my mind. Holy crap, that's depressing. But I think that will be all. But next week, we'll go back to a regularly scheduled program where I don't just talk at you, but I talk about something hopefully somewhat substantial. I think next week we're going to talk about, I have it laid out. And then at some point we're going to do the how to do research video. That will be fun, hopefully. I still need to start. I think I'm going to hopefully do something YouTube-wise for my sleep episodes or for my sleep research. That would be good. So hopefully that happens. But yeah, we had a good 4 weeks of sleep and fun stuff. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did listen to it, if you didn't, again, please go listen to it. and I hope you share it with everyone that you've ever talked to, even the Starbucks barista that wrote heart on your cup and you thought she was into you, but she writes that on everyone's cup. Thanks for being here. If you have sleep questions or thoughts, I'm going to go ahead and say shoot me an email at thinkcreateinspire27@gmail.com. I will give it a read because there's only so many people that listen to this podcast. So I don't think I'm going to get 100 billion emails that I'm not going to be able to respond to. Maybe I'll answer the emails on the podcast. Who knows? But we'll see. If you have a question or a thought, a comment, that email is the one to hit us up on. I say us, but I'm the only one doing this. So yeah, I'll see you next week. Peace.